Hey, good evening, everybody. My name's Terry Daniel. Rob Marley's in the grid somewhere. We are from UVT Coaching. It is an honor to be with each and every one of you to talk about all things voiceover. And we have a special guest, which we're going to unmute his mic in a minute. If he unmutes it before we give him permission, he will be ejected from the class and fined and jailed for 90 days. No, we're going to let him in. Sam Roberts has been very gracious with his time on a Wednesday evening when I know he has better things to do, but we made him come in here to talk voiceover. So we're going to kind of ask him a few questions and talk a little bit about his experience. I want to give people just maybe another minute to get into the room here, and then we will get started. So thank you so much for being here. And hey, do me a favor in the chat. Tell us all where you're from. We love
Hey,
to
Chaka just got here, so we could the party can start now.
oh
So
yeah, the party never starts until Chaka's here. So tonight we're going to obviously talk about Sam Roberts and what he does with the In Both Ears agency, but we're going to talk about the importance of script performance and really learning the fundamentals of voice acting and doing a lot of research about the business. And give, hopefully we can come up with some really good tips to give you the best chance to go out there and succeed. Rob and I have over 35 years in the voiceover business. I came from the theater and did some radio and worked for a couple different advertising agencies and have really been around the industry for a very long time, and it's evolved in all kinds of different directions. Rob, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll bring Sam in?
sure. Well, I don't know. I've been a sound mixer for bands and for video productions most of my life. Every video company I ever worked for, I ended up doing voiceover for them. So I've been doing voiceover realistically, professionally for about 30 years, almost 31 years now. And it's been great. And I love it. I love working from home. I love the fact that my commute is about 20 feet.
Right.
It's great. I love not punching a clock. I never wanted freelance work when I first, when I was getting into the professional world and stuff. I loved finding the 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, or the 9 to 5 type jobs,
Now wait a minute. Now, do people
hour work,
still do people still punch a clock, or am I just that far removed from corporate America?
It's electronic timesheets, but it's the same thing. You're
Yeah.
still clocking in and clocking
Right.
out, and
I
but
just
yeah,
yeah.
I liked the normalcy of a steady paycheck and all that stuff. But then when I started getting into doing voiceover and doing freelance, I loved not being under the yoke of an evil corporate empire and being able to say, I'm going to go out for a couple hours. I'm going to take a lunch for 2 hours, whatever.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
wasn't I
I
just
think that I end up actually working more for myself than I ever did punching a clock, but it's much more fun.
I really enjoyed the radio industry until it got really corporate, and I got tired of playing the same five songs over and over again and reading from a card. And it's like they told me once that I was showing too much personality on the air. I'm like,
Ah,
okay, it's an alternative rock station for God's sake, and you don't want me to show any personality. So it got very
for
robotic
God's
and
sakes, Terry,
very
don't be human. Don't be human at
formulaic.
all.
And then, I've got 500 albums, so I don't need to go to a radio station and work for peanuts and play the same damn five songs. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep. It's corporate. Well, it's not corporate radio, but that's kind of what it is. I mean, it's hard to find the single owned family run business that, in radio, and they're all controlled by, a handful of big corporations that really don't care about what's being played. And the golden age of radio is long gone.
Yes. But we could ramble on and on and on about this all night. But I would like to bring in our talent agent guest, Sam Roberts from In Both Ears. Hey, how about a
Woo!
thunderous roar of applause for Sam Roberts, ladies and gentlemen? Can you hear the energy? Can you hear everybody
Oh,
in the room?
excellent.
Sam
Yeah.
Thank you
All the
so.
energy. Yeah.
I really appreciate you being here. And by the way, Sam is a talent at In Both Ears. He joined the IBE team as their lead agent in 2016. It's a boutique voiceover talent agency with national reach. They represent over 300 world-class voice talent in the US and abroad, plus more than 150 ethnic, foreign language, and youth talent. I love to see that. Their agency, production company, and corporate clients are as diverse as the talent as they represent. Tell us a little bit, Sam, about your background and how you got into the talent agency business.
Sure. Well, I was born and raised in South Carolina. And then after yeah, right on. No, and after college, I moved straight into New York City because I was at Rutgers in New Jersey. So I thought I moved.
Brunswick.
Say that I moved there really quickly because I was like, oh, my friends are moving here, and tried the acting stuff for about 5 years. First job was a voiceover gig. I got it the day I graduated college, and I thought to myself, I'm
Wow.
gonna be famous. Like this is it.
This is
Like
it. You've made
this
it
is
to the big
happening.
time.
And then 5 years later, with only unpaid gigs in the theater to my name, I was like, I got to get out of here. So I moved west, ended up in Portland, found a job as an assistant at In Both Ears, and then the agent left about 3 months later. So I became the agent. It was very quick upward movement. Not sure if there's anywhere more upward I could get from here at this agency, yeah, it just became it just kind of all worked out. I found out that I enjoyed uh, being on the other side of the table for a little bit, and I'm really good at negotiating. So I was like, great,
Oh, that's what we need these days. Somebody that can really negotiate a rate. Well, I'll tell you a little bit, Sam. I've been around so long that my first demo was on this.
great. Yeah.
Commercial side A, B, and then I foolishly, before I decided to actually take it serious and get some training and get my acting skills down and get a professional demo made, which is pretty much vital if you want to have any chance in this business today, I recorded it on this.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't ever
Definitely had to
record
get
your
a
demo on a boombox, ladies and gentlemen. I did it. I think I was about 20 or 21 years old at the
all
time,
right.
which leads me to my first question about the importance of, well, it's a two-part question, the importance in your mind of having a professional demo, and what is your requirement in both ears? Because every agency in the country is different as far as the length of the demo. At
Sure.
UVT, when we produce demos for our students, it's basically about 5 or 6 clips on the demo. Try to get down to that 60-minute or 60-second mark. And then a friend of mine at Atlas Talent says, oh, we take demos up to about a minute 20. So that was kind of a shock because normally the
Yeah.
industry standard is about 60 seconds. So what are your thoughts on all of that?
So yeah, I mean the first thing is we don't represent a talent unless they have a demo. And so it has to we at
But
least a
not
commercial
one,
demo,
but not one made from a boombox
not one
from
made from a boombox.
1988. Okay, good.
Yeah, definitely got rid of a lot of tapes when I first started. But as far as like, yeah, we definitely require a demo. Timing on the demo isn't necessary. Like I would prefer that it's under a minute 30, like
Yeah,
because like that's if I'm not listening, probably if I'm listening to a demo, if I don't like the voice in the first 10 seconds, I typically go. So I think that that's it has to catch me right out of the gate.
absolutely. Which is why
But
when we do our demos, we put the very best performance up
yeah.
front. And then, like maybe you're the type of agent where, wow, this guy or gal is great. And is there a better chance that you'll listen to the whole demo once you realize, oh my God, these sound like real commercials?
I mean, 100%. I mean, I do
Yeah.
that with auditions sometimes. So it's,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I might not even make it to the second take if I'm just like, well, I got to reach out to this person, see if there's something I can do to adjust it, or we move on. But as far as demos are concerned, yeah, a commercial demo, and it's incredibly important to have it professionally produced. I mean, as far as like, if you're a producer and an engineer and you know what you're doing, okay. But like I think that the thing is that I mean, I would never tell someone, listen, you know what you should do as your first step? Put down $5,000. That seems like a crazy amount of money. I've seen a lot of demos produced for that amount. I'd be like, no, you shouldn't do that as your first step. Like it's just, maybe you should go to someone that might tell you, hey, maybe this isn't for
Is that
you.
$5,000 just for the demo? I mean,
Yeah,
we have spendy programs that include, like, 15 coaching sessions, a website, group
sure. Yeah.
classes, marketing support, but that's a lot of money for just the demo.
Yeah. I think that what's incredibly important is making sure that you do a ton of research, you know, get as much coaching as you can prior to the demo because the agent is going to be the last piece of the puzzle. I feel like I have a lot of people reach out to me that are just starting out, and while I love the enthusiasm, I don't have a lot of time to sort of like nurture um a
Yeah,
new
they do.
talent.
They tend to just kind of go to the agency first before they've
Yeah,
really, started working on any acting skills or even just finding out if they really want to do it or not. I mean, the research part is such a huge part. So, what do you hear when you hear people's demos? What is the biggest thing that you hear when you're like, "Oh my God, this guy did it himself"? What what's the
uh,
first thing that you hear that's like, "Oh my God, this is a self-made demo"?
well, always you listen first to see how, like, what the quality of the audio is. So if there's, if we get demos sometimes that are like, it sounds like it was recorded on a phone. And so I think that, once it needs to be created in a studio. That's probably the first thing that I always think of. And then also like, if the script is like if there's no like production behind it, it also makes me feel like, so like anything like, it doesn't necessarily need to have music the whole way through, but it would
Right.
be at some point it has to sound like a commercial would actually sound. um uh, and I think that's the biggest giveaway, is when you get something and it just sounds like a script that somebody pulled offline from, make me a demo.com scripts. I don't know what that is. I don't, hopefully
Yeah,
that's
there's a
not a real
lot of
website.
people
I was gonna
that
say, God, I hope that's not a real site.
when people try to do their own demos, they tend to borrow from the Edge Studio script library in New
Mhm.
York. And what's really sad is there's demo mills out there that borrow from the Edge Studio script library. And good agents like I tend to think that you can kind of sniff those out when you hear those in the demos, like, oh, there's that script again. So, and we at
Sure.
UBT, we write all original content for our demos.
That's great.
It's tailored to the students' skill set and also their hobbies and interests, because it's we want them engaged as possible
Yeah.
in the
It
content.
needs
So
to
it's like,
sound,
if you're not a
yeah,
computer geek like I am, we're probably not going to put an Apple commercial in there. Or if you're really
sure.
dumb with fixing cars, I'm not going to put an auto mechanic kind of place in there. So yeah, all original content on ours. So you don't mind if the demo goes to be, about a minute 10 or a minute 15. That's not the kiss of death.
No, that's not the kiss of death. If it's like, if it, to, I'd say when I just ignore it, it's 2 minutes and above. So like there's a lot of people that like have gotten work, and then they put the entirety of whatever work they've done on a demo. And that's fine. Like, listen, I'm not going to judge you for exactly for that, but I will judge you if it's over 2 minutes. I'll say, okay, they haven't figured it out yet, and that's the whole point. I don't want to work with talent that, haven't made sort of like an effort in that first sort of step. But yeah.
Now I've heard a rumor, Sam Roberts, and you can tell me if this is true or not. I heard that along with demos that you really love it when talents call you on your cell phone at midnight and do impressions. Is that true?
Yeah, I save all of my voicemails. Um,
I'm sure you probably do.
I save all my voicemails just in case they show up at my house. But
Yeah, that's
the
not the, yeah, please don't go to where the talent agent lives and try to dazzle them with your impression of A, B, or C.
yeah,
That's not going to
yeah,
work.
and if you leave a voicemail, if you leave a voicemail, great, but like, don't do every character that you've ever done. That's like, yeah, it gets to be 4 or 5 minute voicemail, and I'm not listening to that.
All right, I got to ask, Sam, what is if somebody wanted to approach you, what is the most business correct way to say I want a voiceover, I want an agent, sign
Sure.
me? What's the best way to approach you?
Well, hopefully they've gone to our website, and on our website we have our email address, have our email addresses posted. I don't mind like a reach out email, like one. I think that it's one of those things that if it, I we get about 20 submissions a day, so it's one of those things where it's hard to like
Common, yeah.
it's hard to like take a lot of time unless all of sort of the requirements are met. But if it's in the email, then I've seen it at least, and I can. It's almost like this one of those things where it's like I recognize names when they come through multiple times, as far as on the talent side of things, and but definitely not more, not more than like a quarter. One a quarter. That's it. If it's like weekly to check in to see if I saw your email, that's automatically gonna like throw up red flags to me, like uh-oh.
Well, this is why
But
it's nice to have you on because, Rob and I, people sometimes will say, well, you guys are just coaches. So, of course, you're going to say all this. That's why it's always nice to have a talent agent because we pretty much we preach it loud and clear in all of our coaching sessions or group classes what a talent agent wants and how important it is to follow the protocol because if they're supposed to go online and submit their demo via filling out a form and attaching an MP3 and they start emailing you WAV files or they suddenly, hey, here's a link to my Dropbox folder.
yeah,
I would think that that'll piss you off a little bit because if you're
yeah.
unless you're an even-tempered guy, Sam, I'm not.
Well, I mean,
I'm a guy that
I mean,
flies off the handle quickly, but
yeah, I don't know. Don't ask my mother. But as far as like sending me files, I don't send a link. I'm never going to click a link. That's just a terrible idea. Like if I don't know you, I'm not going to click the link. And that's so if you're going to send me an MP3 file, it needs to be an MP3 file in the email so that I can just push play instead of worrying if this thing's going to give my computer multiple viruses. But yeah, I would say just follow the instructions on the website because uh, I know with our agency we require like an audition read because as great
oh,
as demos
nice.
are,
Yep.
as great as demos are, they can make you sound really good and not as they can make you sound like way better than you do. And I think that there's like it's awesome to have an audition read on there so that I can make sure I know exactly what's going on.
This is my agent. This is Wayman Voice in Minneapolis represents me, and I just want to show everybody what an actual representation page. So if you go to an agency, and maybe Sam, maybe yours looks similar to this, but I really like this layout where they have, here we go. You fill out the form, you attach the MP3 of your demo, you fill out some information about your home studio setup, a little bit about yourself, and then you hit submit. So I don't know if you guys have something similar to that, but I've always kind of liked this. It's kind of an easy, user-friendly platform. And Wayman, just as you guys are, I imagine, they're pretty strict on protocol.
Yeah, yeah. If somebody doesn't follow sort of the basic instructions we've laid out just in that email, it raises it raises that flag that like, okay, this person might not send in their auditions appropriately or well labeled, and it makes my job a lot harder.
How do you negotiate with a client who wants to use your agency, but they bring up like pay to play sites and Fiverr, and they're like, well, I can go and hire Pete Filson from Fiverr for $10, and you guys are trying to charge me 250 for this? How do you deal
Sure.
with those? I mean, I'm sure it's an immediate eye roll when they start talking, as it is somebody with 35 years of experience. My tolerance level just gets to be a little bit less every year. But
Sure.
how do you deal with a phone call like that?
Well, typically I go talk to my wife about what our options are, refinancing the mortgage. And then, no, what I do is so first, like, I understand where clients are coming from, where they can easily go get, because the worst part is that a lot of the talent that are on my roster and on every other roster, they've got some account out there on a pay to play site. So like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. So I've had times where I've turned down a client that wanted to work with a specific talent, and then they just went to that talent on voices.com. So I I think there's a little bit of like, I don't necessarily want to work with the clients that are going to voices.com. I want to work with as many clients as I can and try to pull them back. But so
Rob is a huge fan of voices.com. If you bring that up to him, he has nothing but positive things to say
I
about them.
I accidentally started flirting with the CEO's wife of voices.com in a bar at VO Atlanta and had no idea who it was until I realized, oh wait, you're the devil, and then walked away. So yeah, no, let's not go there.
No, let's
yeah,
not
I
go there.
think
We're going to talk about the large commissions that they hide from their talents, but that's another webinar.
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, oh man, I feel like I just got over that stuff, the voice bank stuff. But
Yeah.
I think that I think it's just about explaining to them exactly why my talent are better. You know what I mean? Like, and why
Yeah.
we're gonna we're gonna come to them with a professional home studio. You know what I mean? Like, we've got these guys have, years and years of training. They're gonna get what they want in the first hour and not spend 3 or 4 more days looking for another talent when the first one sort of sucks. So I think that I think that it's all about explaining our services to them, especially in the light. Now, I understand that sometimes for every client, they're going to be like, "Well, that's not worth, that's not worth $300." But I like to think it is. So I don't know. It's not, maybe I'm just over here like just slowly walking into the ocean, and eventually the water will be over my head. But I think that yeah, I think it just takes time.
Definitely. Well, one more question, then we'll let you go. I really appreciate you coming on here for a few minutes tonight. Um,
Problem.
how do you feel about that when talents come to you requesting representation? Do they need to have Source Connect? Is that a mandatory thing? And do you work with talents all over the country?
Yeah. So our talent are based all over the globe. We have a couple of talent in Nigeria and New Zealand and places like that. And it's all, I mean, most of the time I require Source Connect now of new talent. There's still some talent on my roster that do not have Source Connect. Um, and I just chip away at them every single day.
And explain what is Source Connect, just because there's people on this particular class that are just brand new to the voiceover
Sure.
business.
So Source Connect is a very high quality connection from studio to studio. So it's via the internet. It's I don't really know like a ton of details on sort of the tech side of things, but I do know that the Source Connect Pro or standard is preferred for a connection between most major American studios. I know that there are some other studios out there that are using other versions of Source Connect, but just different names. Um, uh, I the main requirement, one of the big requirements when you get on a roster is that you have to have a home studio, um, and it has to be quality, like because the days of booking into a studio are kind of slowly disappearing. I think I've booked maybe 4 studios in the past month. And that's like, 4 out of, 100 sessions had a studio sort of like a part of it. Um, and so, yeah, I think that if you don't have one, it's going to really put you at a disadvantage, especially when a casting call comes through. Unless you're willing to pay for a studio on your own end every single time you want to audition or send off or have a session, that's great. But in majority of the cities that I feel like people live in, Studios are not necessarily the most affordable things to constantly be renting out every day. But
That's a good call. I mean, not every time, but on occasion when I've been to New York, I get the biggest gigs when I'm on vacation. You can't make it up, right? So I
sure,
do
yeah,
rent studio space because there's one on every block in Manhattan. So if it's
yeah,
$1,500 gig, I'll go ahead and pay 250 or 300 for the hour. And sometimes you just have to do that, and it's a part of
yeah.
the business, and it's definitely worth it if you do it. But Sam, thank you very much. We got to run. Will you come back and visit with us again sometime soon?
Sure, yeah, yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right. How about a hand with Mr. Sam Roberts from
Thanks,
In
Sam. Really appreciate it.
Your Ear? And
Yeah,
I love the name of the agency too. In Both Ears. That's probably my favorite name. And wait a minute, why isn't Sam representing you and I, Rob? What that should have been one of
Hey,
the questions.
I mean, there was a reason why I said, "What's the best way to approach?" I mean, there was a reason for for that question.
I'm gonna call him at midnight and
oh,
start doing impressions.
oh goodness.
Stand
All right,
outside of his house
Sam.
with a boombox.
Sam, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And have a good night, okay?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good
Thanks,
one.
Sam.
Take care. All right, so we are going to officially start the presentation. What a wonderful human being he is.
I like Sam. He's
I'm
a
not
cool guy.
represented by In Both Ears. I'm with Wayman, but I've heard nothing but great things about them. And it's always nice, Rob, to have a talent agent on to verify the candid information that we have been conveying to voice talents for years.
Yeah, it reaffirms everything that we say in all of our webinars and stuff like that. It takes work and showing the right way to present yourself to a talent agent. We did a there was a thing at VO Atlanta where they had I think it was a guy from Atlas Talent that mentioned like one person gave them a one tennis shoe of a pair of Air Jordans, but only one of them, and said, "Well, you'll get the other when you sign me." And it was like that didn't work, and they ended up like circulating the message around to the entire agency saying, "Did you see this idiot? What he did?" So yeah, yeah. There's been a lot of interesting ways that people have tried to get agency representation, but that's the right way.
That is the right way. So let's go back to kind of some of the basics because we had Sam on at the beginning because, I get this question every day via phone call or email or whatnot is how the heck do I get started? And just by being here tonight, you are getting started. You are doing your homework. You're doing all the research on the business to figure out if this is really something you want to do. And I have to tell you personally that this industry, being a voice actor, is burnout free because every week is just a little bit different. You will never ever have the same week. Now, unless you're only like an audiobook narrator, if you're kind of exclusive to that genre. But if you're like Rob and I and maybe other talents on this call, you might be doing commercials, theme park promos, e-learning, explainer video narration. E-learning, by the way, is red hot. It reached its peak during the darkest ages of COVID in 2020 and really hasn't let up since. There is so many educational programs that need voice actors for their business. So how the heck do you get started? You're with us. So you are getting started. And Rob, this is really important because everybody kind of, they get a little excited and they'll go off and spend thousands of dollars on recording gear, but they've never read a script before. Their acting skills are really awful, and it's not their fault. It's just because you just don't have the experience, right? So
It's
you got to learn how to actually do voiceovers before anything else.
it's the same thing. Like I'm learning to play the guitar, and it's very easy for me to walk into Guitar Center or any of the other music shops around and buy like a gold top Gibson Les Paul, and really a really nice guitar and really nice gear, but it doesn't mean I know how to play it. You can buy really expensive gear and say, Look at how awesome this gear is," but unless you know how to play it, it's useless. It's just wasted money, and that's what happens when people first get started in voiceover. They buy the gear first, but they don't
Yeah.
focus on the training. It's the training behind the microphone that makes the microphone valuable.
Yeah, the like a $1,500 Neumann 103 microphone, TLM 103, that's not going to
Yeah,
turn you into a successful voice actor overnight. It's the skills that go into it. So that's a very good
absolutely.
analogy
Absolutely.
from Rob. And by the way, if you have questions, all things voiceover related, our queen moderator, Ann Gwynn, will be collecting questions. All you have to do is type them in the chat, and we're going to get to those at the very end of the class tonight. So, which will help me book more work, coaching or recording gear? Well, we just pretty much discovered that, and really the answer to that is both. But we definitely want to recommend to everybody on this call to take some kind of training first. You don't have to have a bunch of gear right off the gate. I mean, you could slowly. You'll have to buy a microphone, an interface, and some headphones or monitors. I have ADHD really bad, so I hate wearing headphones. I have them, but I prefer to listen to everything out my monitors. But that's kind of the answer to that. Now, how do I book voiceover work? Well, you heard Sam, you can get voiceover work through a talent agent, but we're really kind of living in the era now where it's very difficult to rely on only agency work to make a good living. You really have to be an LA talent or out in the New York and these really big agencies. But if you're like me and you're in Minnesota, Rob's in Austin, everybody's everywhere else, you can get the training, get professional demos produced, and then you can start marketing to the actual voiceover buyer, even without the help of a talent agent. 80% of my annual income comes by way of working directly with the buyer. Now, this could be a video production director at a corporation, which, by the way, every corporation in the country has an in-house production studio. I don't think a lot of people know that. It's a great lead resource so that when you do have your great demos, these are great places to go looking for work. This is how I got work locally through 3M, General Mills, Medtronic. These are massive corporations in the Twin Cities metropolitan area. And this is where you can do. And what's nice about these particular departments, Rob, they don't have. There's usually the directors are usually a little overworked. They don't have time to listen to 200 voices at an agency or at a pay-to-play site. They would rather work with a small pool of about 10 talents.
Well, the nice thing also is that they're not getting hit quite as often
Right.
from voice talent because nobody thinks about them. I mean, it's a great it's a great direction to go. It's a great angle to have.
And Rob, most of your work is by direct marketing, right? You don't really have a lot of agency work. Don't you have a lot of work that you've just kind of gotten on your own working directly with the buyer?
99% of everything I do is everything I make is from direct marketing. It's nice to get the agency jobs, and it's fun to feel like you're important in the mix. But 99% of everything I do is from direct marketing, reaching out to the people and saying, I know what you need. Let me help you deliver your message, and you do that 1,000 times.
And this is why it's important too, because when you're brand new, the pay to play sites like voices.com, voice 1 through 3, they do such a masterful job trying to kind of suck you in. They do a great job marketing. They have great PR departments. And they manipulate talents, especially new talents, into believing that you can't survive without them. I'm here to tell you that that's bullshit. You can survive without them because you can make a hell of a good living just by working directly with the client, as Rob and I just mentioned. I'm
Yeah.
not a pay to play site hater. I think you should use it as one of your marketing paths. Work on some auditioning because I mean we have friends that make a decent living from pay to play site bookings. The problem that some talents have is they get a little too institutionalized where they're doing nothing but auditioning from sunrise to sunset and every single audition that hits their inbox. And guess what? You let the whole day go by where you didn't pick up the phone and make one cold call or you didn't email a prospective client because you're sitting in this damn pay to play site because
You know,
it almost becomes an addiction, Rob.
a few years ago there was a pay-to-play website that popped up out of nowhere called voiceovers.com. I think that was what their
Oh
website.
no. Oh,
And
by the way,
and
keep
they
keep your mics muted, everybody. I can hear somebody
yeah.
coughing or vomiting or singing
Well, I was
Silent
talking,
Night or
so
whatever.
people just naturally vomit when I start talking. That's I have that effect. Anyway, no. So there was this website called voiceovers.com or whatever their website was, and they showed up at one of the conferences, and they gave out a bunch of free swag, and they said we're not like the other guys, we're different, and
Oh,
here's how we're
sure.
going to make
Yep.
it better. And
I'm
of
sure.
course they
Yep.
got 1 million people to sign up, or not 1 million people, but they got a bunch of people, voice artists, to sign up, and those voice artists became just obsessed with auditioning for everything that was presented.
Yeah.
And really what you're doing is you're now an employee of this company. You're helping
Yeah.
that company achieve its bottom line, achieve its numbers, and you're not punching a clock, but you're working for this business now. And sure enough, this business, I think 2 or 3 months after they were like officially up and running, disappeared overnight. The guy pulled the plug on the site and, I don't know, ran off to the Caribbean or something. And anybody who was working on that site immediately didn't exist anymore online.
Oh my
And it's
God.
that simple. So if you're spending all of your time auditioning on pay to plays, you're not spending any time on working on your own business. You're working for somebody else's business, and that's not the right way to do things.
Very well said. And again, we're not trying to discourage anybody from, getting on a pay-to-play site. It's just, but again, just just don't put all your eggs in that basket, because I think you're going to be disappointed. And I think you'll be very encouraged to hear, based on our experience, that you can make a hell of a lot more money by working directly with some of these clients. And emailing and cold calling, I mean, I can't stand cold calling. It's a phobia of mine, but I've kind of just learned to get over it. I tend to first I'll send an email to the prospective client, and the only way, because everybody talks about email marketing in the business and the different methods that they use, I only use email to get the appointment with the client. I email them to get the live consultation, because I think in this day and age, with so much shit online and social media, it's important to get that client on the phone, for one, to make sure that you're dealing with a real person, right? And second, this is a great way to start building and nourishing that relationship. Even if they're not really ready to hire you yet, you're already kind of building rapport. And I love getting on the phone with clients, and that's really what I use um, email for. But and do we have any questions in the chat? We can kind of take a couple questions here and there. This is going very quickly, but why don't we go ahead and take one from somebody?
Yes, sir. I've got some from right up on the top. Zachary says, local to the Twin Cities, is it
Oh,
still likely to find work more remotely? My city isn't exactly a great place where things are made unless you're thinking Jeeps and glass.
that's a great question, and this is what's one of my favorite things, honestly, about the voiceover business is you can be a flop in your hometown and be huge out east somewhere. I get more work from out east in the New York area than I've ever gotten locally here in Minnesota. I have a good local agent, and they're good to me, but for some reason, people out east hire me a lot more, and that's what's so nice, Rob, is you not only are you able to work with anybody in this country, but you can also work with clients overseas by being able to send an MP3. You can do a live directed session over Zoom. I've got
Yeah,
I've got clients in Munich, Germany, and Dublin,
it's it,
Ireland. It's a
it's
wonderful
the
thing.
it's the perspective that you need to have when you're focusing on your business. You're no longer a Minnesota, area, or Minnesota area voice artist, or an Austin area voice artist. You're a global voice artist, and
Right.
and you can work around the world. It doesn't matter where you are. I can provide quality audio to you in a matter of seconds, after I've recorded it. It doesn't matter if you're in Istanbul or two blocks down. It that's the beauty of the internet and what we do. It doesn't matter where you're located. You can do this anywhere.
This is a popular question. Is the voiceover business too competitive? I hear that word competitive and voiceover all the time. And honestly, any creative industry is going to be competitive. But man, try being a real estate agent. Oh my God. I mean, that industry is absolutely saturated with people getting into real estate. I mean, it's really hard to think of an industry that isn't competitive. But here, listen closely, because this is really important. Here's why the voiceover business isn't as competitive as some may think. Because everybody that gets into it, not everybody, but a large percentage of them will drop off after a month because they realize that they can't make thousands and thousands of dollars within the first couple of weeks that they start in the business. And voiceover, I want to make it clear, this is not a quick fix. If you're unemployed, it's not a quick way to get some fast cash, as some of these cheesy charlatan-like webinars advertise themselves on those shitty Facebook ads. God, I hate those guys. Uh, but, it's like they're trying to, Rob, you've seen it, where it's all about the money, money, money. In our training programs, when we coach with people, and Ann is my witness to this, and maybe other students that are currently in this call, we never talk about money. We don't make any guarantees. We focus on teaching the skills and the business. That's why it's kind of a trigger for me, Rob, when I see these snake oil like ads on Facebook from these people making these outlandish income guarantees. I mean, oh my God, these people suck.
You know what? I don't see too much of the income guarantee angle too much anymore. But what I do see is a whole slew of new people that are trying to position themselves as the rebels in the voiceover world. Like, I'm going to teach you the stuff that the pros don't want you to know, and stuff like that. And that's pure bullshit. That's just whatever.
That
That's
the pros
bullshit. That's
don't
just a
want
selling
you to
tactic.
know. Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like, they're trying to position themselves as being like, well, the pros want you to do it this way, so I'm going to show you how to work for pennies on the dollar. And,
oh my God,
there's a lot of bad information out there. A
Yeah,
lot.
just like anything, any business. I mean, you have to vet the information, and you take everything with a grain of salt. And whether you end up working with us or not, if anybody on this call ever sees anything kind of fishy in a tweet or a Facebook post or anything that you run into online, and you're kind of like, this feels kind of sketchy and scammy, just email me, terry@uvtcoaching.com. I'll tell you if it's true or not. I mean, 35 years of experience can do that. So I'm happy to help, because we never want anybody to get steered in the wrong direction. It pisses me off when people do. So, and getting back to the talent agent, do I need a talent agent to make a living doing voiceovers? Notice, Rob, I saved this slide until Sam was off the call.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, Sam's a cool enough guy to know that you can absolutely make a good living doing voiceovers without the help of a talent agent. I think you should do both. I think it's nice to get on a couple of rosters. Like Rob said, it's nice to just get a good splash every now and then from an agency gig. But again, you got to kind of get out there and hustle and get the work yourself if you really want to make things happen. And, give it some time too. I mean, it's so easy. I understand if there's cash flow issues, but again, this is not a business where miracles are going to happen overnight. You have to learn the skills. You have to master the skills. You have to have a pretty damn good professional demo, just like Sam, the agent, said. And, good things will happen. We'll talk about the elephant in the room, and that's the AI. AI. We get a lot of questions about the world's greatest voiceover industry curse word, AI.
Everybody be afraid.
Oh, yeah,
afraid.
everybody get ready. Can you feel that? Cover your heads, because the sky is falling. At least that's what some bloggers want you to think. Here's my short sermon on AI. A lot of clients started testing the waters of AI. A lot of these clients don't have the budgets to pay really good voice actors. So in my opinion, AI has become Fiverr's new competition. So they can now go to Fiverr and get a low-paying talent, or they can choose AI. The beauty of AI is a lot of clients are seeing the light, and they're coming back to us. I've gotten more than a dozen brand new clients just in the last 2 years that I would not have right now if they had not tried an AI service first. So, there's a silver lining to some of the stuff that you might see out there. Oh, AI is taking over the voiceover business. No, it isn't. And Rob, in my opinion, these aren't really the clients you want to go after anyway, because these are clients that have really, really low budgets.
I say this all the time on Twitter, for those that are still on Twitter and watching it slowly sink into the ocean. But anytime I see an advertisement that uses an AI generated voice, I immediately think to myself, there's a company that doesn't give a shit about its product. There's a company that just wants to be cheap.
Yeah.
And because, I mean, there's no other way to, when you listen to an AI generated voice or an AI generated image that and you look at is just, well, that's AI, because we're all kind of building this radar to be able to detect it. As soon as you see that or sense that, you just think, oh, the company doesn't care about, actually spending any money on their product. So it just equates that with just low bottom feeder type mentality.
Well said. We kind of covered this with Sam. How long should a voiceover demo be and what do they sound like? Anywhere from that kind of 60-second to a minute 10. Sam, again, he gets discouraged if the demos are 2 minutes long, but we're going to show you actually what some sound like. I have a demo sampler here of various talents. Now, this isn't one demo. This is like a sampler of about 5 different demos, but I really want to listen to Rebecca Lee, the first sample I'm going to play. I really want you to listen to the variety from clip to clip. I mean, it barely sounds like the same person. The performances are masterful. She went on to just become this mega national voice actor, and she'll be the first one. You'll hear a radio imaging demo that Rob did from a guy named Al. That's toward the end of the sampler, and you're going to hear a lot of video game character stuff in the middle. So let's take a listen to this. I want you to just kind of hear what professional demos sound like.
The grins and giggles they let out as.
All right, that was a test. I want to make sure everybody can hear it. Yes?
Yeah, everything sounds fine.
Okay, perfect. Here we go.
The grins and giggles they let out as soon as the lotion touches their skin are magical. Soft skin with so many smiles. Aveeno Baby Lotion. It's that time of the year again. Time for the kiddos to continue stocking up on knowledge. Make sure they're ready to learn and visit Target for all your back-to-school needs. That's not just your head of hair, sis. That's your statement. Your introduction when you enter the room. Make it profound, memorable, extraordinary. Make it with Oyen Handmade. They say one person's trash is another person's treasure. Doesn't that mean it was always a treasure?
These are amazing.
I'm so happy right now.
Visit threadup.com to add some flavor to your closet. With brand name clothing at prices you won't believe. Why settle for biting into a chocolate-covered cherry when we've given you the chance to drink one? Sexual Chocolate Red. Available at Total Wine.
We've lost too many to just give up. We must keep fighting if we want to live in a world free of this evil and hate. Who's with me? You must ride due east for 3 days until a large waterfall will show its beauty where the sun sets. At first light, you must fire the arrow of hope into the waterfall and kill the beast that lives there once and for all.
Love it.
What could you possibly have to offer me, peasant? This armor is fit for a true warrior, not some lost little boy like you. War is horrific. It will change your life in ways you cannot imagine. Being prepared for battle is one thing, boys, but being excited for it is a feeling you should never have. You heed these words and you never forget them. It's the little things in life that really matter, I tell you what. The constant belly rubs and ear scratches. And oh boy, the food that Timmy drops me from the kitchen table at dinner time. Oh, what a life.
We love the music.
If it's the greatest hits you hear in the car, it can only be Q105 FM, Atlanta's best music. Listen to The Eagle weekdays for a chance to win $1,000. $1,000.
Enter a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo right here that basically says the same thing. Just listen to The Eagle Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. for a chance to win $1,000. Void where prohibited. Your mileage may vary. Don't forget to floss. Eat your vegetables.
Music that doesn't suck. Z-Rock 103. Download our free app and take K-Rock with you wherever you go.
Except maybe not to a funeral. That's kind of awkward.
What the truth? You can't handle the truth. The truth is that Mix 107 plays the most hits, more than any other station. Oh, wait, that's not what you were asking about? My bad. More music on the way.
Q93.3.
I had the radio on. I was driving. Wow.
If that doesn't paint a picture, I don't know what does.
Dan on the morning show's been working out for a marathon.
All right, it's a Netflix marathon, but that still counts, right?
Dan and George, weekdays, The Beat 93.
Whoa, this dump is creepy. Dude, we should totally scare the girls. Quick, I'll hide upstairs. You go to the basement. Go!
Once you've made landfall in Schwarzwald, your objectives will be to cripple their production line and neutralize the defector, Hans Fiedler.
All right, that is your demo sampler. And Rob, tell us, we didn't really cover a whole lot of like radio image. Tell everybody what radio imaging is real briefly.
Radio imaging is basically the sonic branding of a radio station. It's the identity that a radio station has to let you know who you're listening to or what promotions they're having coming up. It's the identity of the radio station. That edgy kind of rebel feel or hard rock or easy listening jazz. Their personality comes out in their branding and their imaging, and that's what imaging is all about.
And what I love about those kind of gigs, it's kind of like, because I do a lot of theme park promos for amusement parks and different places like that around the country, is most of them pay with a retainer. And it's nice if you can get a few of these contracts where they're giving you a lump sum of money every month. I mean, there's some months where they don't assign you any work and you still get paid for it.
Yeah,
that's what retainers are so nice.
That's the great thing about imaging is usually you sign a contract with with the radio station that says, all right, for $300 or $350, I'm going to do, 3 pages of liners every month. And if they give you more than 3 pages, then you charge them more. And sometimes they don't give you any pages and you still get paid because that's what a retainer is all about.
That is what a retainer fee. That's why we're in love with them. All right, we are going to take some questions in a moment.
The grins.
Oh, hang on. I didn't mean to do that. Everybody on the call right now, do me a huge favor, whether it's on your laptop, phone, or whatever you have access to, go to uvtvirtual.com. That's uvtvirtual.com. I would like to kind of show you what we're doing here at UVT Coaching, if I can find it here. So what we have done is... let me hit the stop share here. 1 second here. So what we've done, I'll hit the screen share just a minute. Go to uvtvirtual.com. After doing a lot of research around the country, there wasn't really a voiceover training program that was really affordable, honestly, for people who just wanted to kind of dip their toes in the water and just to see what the voiceover business was all about by, going through different voiceover training videos and just doing, 2 to 3 live Zoom calls a month. And we've created something here called UVT Virtual. There it is right there. If you can see it on the screen, definitely you can view it obviously on your own computer too. So we've kind of started developing this self-paced video training series to include also some monthly voiceover classes on Zoom. You can take a look at the curriculum there. How to start a voiceover business, how to read a commercial script, what do you charge for a voiceover? These are all extremely helpful training videos that have been produced by all of the coaches here at UVT Coaching. Some really good information here. What is radio imaging? How do you get into character work? And scroll down and see some testimonials and the FAQ about the program. But here's the deal. The membership fee is only $30 a month, and you can cancel it anytime. You're not locked into a 5-year contract or anything ludicrous like that. And if you sign up for this program today, $30 a month, you go around to different training companies and you see all these $3,500, $4,500 packages. And yes, one-on-one training and demo production can be very spendy, and that's the ultimate goal eventually. But when you just want to kind of get a taste of what this is all about, we feel that this is the ultimate program at uvtvirtual.com. If you sign up tonight, by the way, we have an extra bonus. Do you have a sound effect for that, Rob? extra bonus.
No. I didn't have anything ready. Sorry.
Rob, please
Cue
start.
Rob.
Rob, please start coming to the pre-class meetings. Please. No, I'm kidding. If you sign up tonight, this is what you're going to get. You get all the videos. You get 3 live Zoom classes a month plus the recording. But if you sign up tonight, you also get a one-on-one voiceover coaching session with one of the UVT coaches, Rob or myself or Garnett or one of the other coaches. We're going to give you a bonus 60-minute voiceover marketing course as part of this. And we're going to do an audition review by a UVT coach, aka Rob, and I will send you a script. You can record it, you send us the recording, and we give you feedback on it. Nobody really took us up on that last time, but we're still going to offer it as part of this program. So do me a favor, hit that join now button, because this is the cheapest voiceover training on the planet, considering all of the content you get. And Rob, I really wish something like this was around when I had first started, because there wasn't anything affordable, and now there is.
The beauty of the internet makes it so easy to learn information. It also makes it easy to learn wrong information, but it's so nice that we have this thing. I really wish this existed when I was first getting started in voiceover. It gives you everything that you need to really know how to start a business. It's not just about, your voice and everything else, but it's how to start and run a small business, because you're a single person, a single owner business person, or whatever they call it, small business person. So it gives you all of this information. The only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't give you the one-on-one direct coaching that we have with a coach and the artist, but it gives you all the information that we normally say during the sessions anyway. So
yeah,
it's a great way to learn, and a very affordable way to learn. It would have saved me thousands, when I was first getting started.
Yeah, so you get a new voiceover training video literally every other week. You're invited to 3 live monthly voiceover classes on Zoom. We're going to do some exclusive interviews on videos with talent agents, and this will just go on and on forever. And again, it's only $30 a month. It's less than $1 a day for the best voiceover training on the planet. Hit that join now button, sign up tonight. And again, you get the one-on-one voiceover coaching session as a bonus with one of the UVT coaches. You get the bonus 60-minute voiceover marketing course, and then you get the audition review. And that's only if you sign up tonight. So click join now. If you don't like it after a month or two, you can always cancel. Again, you're not locked into any long-term contract here. I mean, obviously, we hope you stick with it, because that's how you get invited to classes, and this is how you access new videos. I'm pretty sure we have some UVT virtual members on the class tonight. If you want to share your experience in the chat, that would be great, just for people that are maybe kind of considering this. But yeah, $30 a month. So, hey, I have an idea. Let's answer some questions, Ann Gwyn.
Oh, wait, I got one too.
Oh,
I'm starting from the, hold on. I'm starting from the beginning.
Okay, great.
So April asked about agents. Can you be represented by more than one?
That's a great question. And yes, you can, as long as they're not in the same zip code. The rule here in Minneapolis, because I'm with Wayman, so I can't go across the street to More Talent. I have to be exclusive here in Minnesota. But I can go to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I can go to Kansas City. I can go to Chicago. I can go to St. Louis and be represented there. So there's really no limits to how many talent agents you can have in the country. Great question.
You can hedge your bet by having several agents, but the problem then becomes that a lot of those agencies end up sending you the same audition. So yeah. It's a diminishing return kind of a thing. I have a quick question that it was an email that from somebody that couldn't make it to the session tonight, to the webinar tonight, but okay. Amber Sarno, she asked, is Fiverr truly robbing the VO industry, or could some work actually be found there for new voice actors who may not have a lot of connections or work experience? Yeah.
No, I don't think it's
Ah,
robbing the industry. I think there's a
no.
place for low ball clients. They're going to go to Fiverr and find the Fiverr talents. And I'm not a Fiverr hater. In fact, you can set your own rate on Fiverr. It's not like I
Yeah.
think there's some misconstrued information out there that every talent on Fiverr is only charging $5 for a project. That's simply not true. You can
No,
really set
there's
your
a
own rate. But the thing is, there's too many that are, and that's what makes it kind of slippery.
Yeah, there's a lot of bottom feeders. There's a lot of people that will bid on something for pennies, underbid just to get the job, and don't really care about the quality. I mean, yes, it is possible to get started and get some work with Fiverr. I think Fiverr is a great way to learn your workflow, to learn the process of getting the job, receiving the work, practicing, recording, editing, and then sending it off to the client and hopefully sending an invoice and getting paid. It's a great practice to learn that workflow. But I would, it's good practice, but get out of Fiverr and start making real money as soon as you can. I mean, Fiverr's a
Yeah.
great way to start, but it's not where you want to stay.
And you got another one for us?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you bet. Peter's asking any recommendations on a go kit. He's getting ready to go on vacation or whatever.
Oh, like a travel kit. You know what? I
Ooh.
used to bring kind of spendier gear now I just bring my Apogee mic and iPad because it works really well for auditions, and I record in the car, which is acoustically perfect, really. There's
It's the
other, I
Apogee
mean,
iMic, right?
yeah. I don't really travel with a big travel rig anymore with a big I don't like the porta boots. I mean, if you have to record in your car, it's going to sound better because those porta boots, they're going to make it sound like you're recording from inside of a box, and that's what they are.
Yeah.
Rode mics are really good travel mics. You get a Scarlett 2i2 interface. All of that stuff is travel friendly, along with just a decent pair of headphones and, obviously a good laptop with a good processor and good RAM and memory. It's
my go-to my travel rig. I mean, I don't have too many jobs where I need to do something, but I'm always paranoid I may have to do something. So my go-to travel rig is a Steinberg NT1 or a UR12, a Steinberg UR12, which is the same thing as the Focusrite 2i2, and a Synco D2. It's like the cheaper version of the Sennheiser 416. I keep the 416 in the booth, but the Synco D2 with the Steinberg preamp going into a laptop is all I need. It all fits in a carry-on bag. It's really simple, and as long as you find a quiet place to record, that's the key thing. It's not
that's
so
the
much
big
the
key.
gear, it's the space around the gear that matters.
I got a question here that I saw in the chat from Zachary. Do the live classes have you doing exercises and practices for feedback? Absolutely. We do a lot of script performance and analysis in those UVT virtual classes. Maybe not to the same quality one would expect from a one-on-one, but the kind of stuff you might get from an instructor of many. Absolutely. Like a spin class instructor versus a personal trainer. That's actually a pretty good comparison. And in the videos in UVT virtual, since you're asking for it, I have different scripts that I do on the videos. So this is actually stuff that you can do homework with. You can hear me talk about the script, give you some thorough direction on it, and then you can pause the video and actually practice the script yourself. And by the way, you can do all this stuff in UVT virtual on your own time. That's the beauty of it. It's not like a dead set appointment. You can watch the videos at any time. We do the classes constantly. So obviously, it's not realistic that you're going to make all of them live, but that's why you always get the recording. So sign up tonight too for those bonuses, uvtvirtual.com. And
Clay, recommended beginner's mic?
we like the Rode mics for beginners mic. The Rode NT1 is a really good mic. This is the MK416. This is a little bit too advanced, I think, for a beginner mic. Rob, what mic do you have, or what mic do you when you started your career? Give us a couple mic ideas.
The first mic I used was an Audio Technica ATR 2025, I think is what it was, or something like that. I got it because it had a headphone jack built into the microphone and a little preamp dial so you could set the gain and your output level with the microphone. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I mean, it sounded like shit, but it got me through several auditions when I first got started. That was the first rig. And then a lot of people go with the Audio-Technica AT2020. That's been a workhorse microphone for a lot of entry level people when they first get into it. But it's not going to last. It's not going to be something that you're going to want to keep for years on end. You're going to want to upgrade to a different mic pretty quickly after that. And I always say the NT1. The NT1's a great one, great microphone.
But you guys, we're just going to go for just a few minutes over, if that's okay with you guys.
What a surprise!
I know, right? We try to get these things done in an hour, but they're just so you guys just ask such great questions. It's your fault. Blame the attendees, right? No, Ann, go ahead.
Kevin, what's a good website to start? Wix, GoDaddy, WordPress?
God.
I think Wix is actually so much better than it used to be when it was a Flash.
Yeah.
When Wix was a Flash site, it got made fun of a lot online by voice actors. Now I think it's better than WordPress. I mean, it does everything that WordPress does. Our UVT coaching website was made from Wix. So if anybody's saying, oh, that's an amateur web builder, I mean, no, it's not. No,
it's you don't need the latest, greatest whiz bang, things on your website anyway. You need a basic static website, and Wix and Squarespace are both fantastic. In fact, my own website the main website is done with Squarespace, and I have an automotive demo website that I did through Wix, and they work great. It's cheap, it's easy, and you can customize it so it doesn't look like the template, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And other questions?
Yeah. David is asking about ACX.
Oh, ACX, that's the audio exchange for audiobooks. ACX, it's not a bad way to get your feet wet. You got to be careful on there because sometimes the only way you get paid is if the book sells. So definitely do some research on the author and make sure that the author has sold books before, because otherwise you're going to find yourself, reading a 350-page audiobook and not getting paid for it at all. There are some stipends with ACX where they'll pay you like $300 per finished hour of audio. It seems like it's going down a little bit. I mean, there are. Jeff Kafer is one guy. Johnny Heller, a good friend of ours, is just he's been on these calls before. Huge audiobook narrator, has done really, really well. So once you start kind of getting those books going and you start getting those, those residuals every month, but just make sure that it's a popular author, because you don't want to do a 350-page audiobook and not get paid for it. So you're kind of, in a way, you're kind of rolling the dice a little bit on ACX, and you could just look up ACX, and I'm not an audiobook guy at all, but you can find out all the information on their website. Ann?
Bob asks, can I take a laptop and a good mic to the public library as an alternative to a studio?
You can. I've actually, when I've been on the road, my wife and I take a lot of road trips. I will find, like in Kanab, Utah, I think it was a couple of years ago, I went to the public library, and they have these little meeting rooms. And you know what? They actually sound pretty good because they're so loaded with books, so there's not really a lot of echo and a lot of bounce. Not bad at all. That's a good suggestion from Bob, because they usually let you use those rooms for free. You just have to go and reserve a room. Ann?
Dylan's asked, do you think Audacity is a sufficient DAW to start with, or is it worth it to upgrade to something like Reaper?
It's not only a good DAW to start with, but you can stick with it throughout your professional career. Like the audio engineer of the UVT staff, Jan Anderson, he does our home studio setup sessions in our Big Kahuna program. Little plug for the Big Kahuna program, but he still uses Audacity. That's another one of those kind of misleading pieces of information. It's like, oh, you don't want to use Audacity because you'll look like an amateur. I really hate when every DAW does the same thing. It's about your recording gear and the treatment of your room. And of course, it's about your skills. Clients don't give a shit if you're recording on Adobe Audition, Audacity, Reaper, Pro Tools, whatever, as long as you're in a good space that sounds really good. So scoff at those blogs that say, oh, if you're using Audacity, you're not a pro. People that write those blogs haven't booked anything for 10 years.
You know, honestly, when you're first getting started, the less you have to fork out money for, the better. And Audacity's free. It's been around forever. There's a million tutorials online. There's tons of YouTube videos to learn anything that you need to know, any little trick to make Audacity work. There's tons of videos out there on how to do it. It's free, it's easy, it's convenient, and yeah, you don't have to pay for it. I mentioned free. So yeah, don't spend money if you don't have to.
Absolutely. All right. It is almost 10 after 7 here Central Time. So we got time for maybe one or two questions. I did see a question about UVT Virtual and how soon the videos become available. Once you actually sign up, you get your first video like a day or two later. And then we have a live Zoom class coming up in a week. So again, $30 a month for the best online voiceover training on the planet. If you haven't signed up, please do so. Go to uvtvirtual.com and then check out the bonuses at the bottom, because Rob was talking about one-on-one coaching, and we do include a one-on-one coaching as part of the bonus if you sign up tonight. So please do that. Anne?
Monk, what types of VO are the easiest to break into?
Well, there's nothing easy to break into, and you don't really break into voiceovers. Voiceover finds you if you have the right skills. There's nothing really to break into. But we always recommend to our students that we work with that you start with commercial, get your basic skills down, learning different commercial reads, whether they be for TV or radio. A lot of times we work on narration too, because it's such a huge genre, especially explainer video and e-learning. And then if people want to get into character work, if they're really, really good at it, we'll explore that. We definitely want to kind of start with the basics first. But as far as where the business is, I mean, definitely commercial and narration, or there's character work for sure, but it's definitely a smaller slice than like commercial or narration. So good question. Anne?
Julian, how do you dissuade clients you direct market to from in perpetuity clauses?
Somebody tell me. I have no clue.
Well, the problem, in perpetuity is not a bad thing, but the problem is the fees are always too low, So you just have to negotiate. It's hard negotiating in perpetuity. You know what I would recommend? If you have a talent agent, turn the project over to your talent agent. They will get you far more money.
Yeah.
And you will, especially if there's residual in perpetuity contracts, usage fees. Not only will your agent make sure that you get as much money for that project as you can, but you're also kind of sucking up to the agent, which is a really good thing. And you're bringing money. You're bringing money into the agency, so they're going to return the favor, and everybody wins.
I was going to mention that. That's the best way to get an agent, is to come in with work, with a job in your hand. For those that don't know, in perpetuity means that they can use your voice. They're basically saying that we will use your voice for however long we want, forever. I mean, and that's what it is. You're going to get paid once, and they're going to use it a gajillion times as long as they want. And so in perpetuity clauses are the little catch. It's like, oh, it's a $500 job, but yeah, it's going to be seen nationally at the Super Bowl for for 3 years, and you're not going to see $1 of that. So no, in perpetuity is tough. But yeah, go to your agent. Go to a new agent and say, hey, I have this guy that's got an in perpetuity clause, and approach to them. That's the greatest way to get an agent. That's a great trick.
Rob, if we go until midnight tonight, how many people will be left?
The three of us, I think, and Chaka, he just never
leaves.
Chaka's
a late night riser.
There's a dude in a hot dog costume here, so I think Zachary's probably going to hang out with us.
Oh my God, he really is in a. Well, he wins. I wish we had a prize we could give him, but that's a hell of a nice costume.
It's so funny. I caught it like earlier, and it didn't register, and in my brain, it was just like hot dog. And now I see him, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a guy in a hot dog outfit. Good for you, Zachary. Good job, man.
All right, let's take one more question, and then we will say good night.
Oh goodness, I've got 6 more. Okay.
Well, we
Pick a good
can save them all or do a
I'm-
screenshot of all the questions, and I can answer them via email tomorrow as well.
I will send you the attachment. How about that?
Perfect.
Someone is saying, okay, trying to find the best one. How do you know if your voice is good enough for VO work? That's from
That is a
Dennis.
great question. By doing a consultation with Rob or myself, dipping your toes into the UVT virtual program, and just finding out if you can do it. Again, that's why we built this affordable program, you guys, because we just want to give everybody kind of a taste of what the business is like. And Rob and I are very straightforward. If we don't think you have a chance in hell, we're going to tell you that, because our reputation depends on what you say about us as well. And we want to make sure that people are going out there and having the best chance to succeed. We don't want to be like those charlatans who are advertising in Facebook ads, who will take any talent and promise them millions of dollars and that kind of thing. So we'll be straight with you, man. Sometimes sometimes people don't like us because we're too candid, but I tell you what, candor goes goes much further than smoke blowing.
Oh, absolutely. This industry does not. I mean, yeah, you could throw platitudes all over the place. Oh, you sound great, but that's not going to get you any work. You have to be phenomenal, or you're going to be forgotten. And so we don't have time to say you sound awesome. We're going to say, here's why you suck, and here's how we can fix it.
You're
Maybe
right,
we're say,
exactly.
or we'll probably say it better than that. We'll probably say it with a little bit more tact than that.
Well, it really depends on what mood
you,
we're in, but
show you what
depends
you're
on the
doing
day.
right and what you're doing wrong. That's what it's all about.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for attending the class. Do me a favor, in the chat, a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being god awful and 10 being amazing, your thoughts on the class, the presentation tonight. We take these ratings to heart. We'll rip on you if you give us a bad score, but I mean, no, I'm just kidding. We
crave attention. We crave praise.
Yeah, we do crave praise. We're a typical artist. We're starved for attention 24/7.
Now, listen, we hope you guys all, learned some things, and got some advice, some good insight on what it takes to get started in the industry. It's not an easy process, but we can make the beginning steps as easy as possible. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of training, but it is doable. It totally is doable.
And it's fun. It's fun. Remember when things were fun? Voiceover still is fun. And we hope you sign up for UVT Virtual. I did stick the link in the chat again, because we want to work with you guys. And if you've got a passion for voice acting, this is a great way to get started, especially if you're on, a tight budget, which is why we built the program. So we hope you take advantage of that. And all right, thank you, everybody. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. If you were late to the class, I will send out the recording of the class tomorrow morning. Thank you very much, everybody. I really
thanks, everybody.
Really appreciate it.
Bye.
And we appreciate the picture of Peter Thiel's dogs as well. That's fantastic. All right, take care, everybody.